Over the last few weeks, you've actually heard, which should be no surprise, Donald Trump talking about, and the people around him talking about, a third term. And while we laugh at that in this breaking story, I'm going to share with you why we should not be laughing at that, because this breaking story is incredibly important. And we wonder to ourselves, how in the world could that even possibly happen? Thank goodness we have a couple of politicians and also a key law firm involved in what we're trying to resolve and make sure doesn't happen in this breaking story. First, take a quick listen to Mark Elias talk about Donald Trump and his absolute need for power. Take a listen.
Let me just tell you something. Anyone who thinks that Donald Trump is going to come in good faith is kidding themselves. Anyone who thinks that Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or the rest of them are coming in good faith on the issues of democracy, if that's what you think, you might as well just turn off the video because you're in the wrong place. These guys are not coming in good faith. They are coming in to undermine the rule of law. They're coming in to undermine democracy. They are coming in to execute Project 2025. And so we all need to be as tough and as prepared as possible.
What is a dictator or a wannabe dictator here when so many people do change their tune?
He hears that he should keep going, right? I mean, he preys off of people being afraid of him. He preys off of people being hopeless. He wants people to think that he is all powerful and that if you do anything to displease him, you will be ruined. That there is no point in fighting against him because because he controls everything. And so this sense of fear on the one hand and hopelessness on the other is his main tool. And so, it's not that I want to act like everything is great. I mean, I make very, very clear that we're in a dire circumstance, but I won't let Donald Trump defeat me in hoping and believing that if we fight, we can win, and if we win, we can keep democracy alive. So I won't let him take the hope away. But the second thing is I won't let him make me fearful in a way that will prevent me from fighting. It doesn't mean I don't have moments of fear. It doesn't mean I don't have moments of worry. I think it's been very important for me to acknowledge that to people so that it is okay to be worried. And so there isn't a common ground there. There's no room to compromise on this. It's not like we split the difference. I say this, with adoring respect to a lot of really good journalists, but, the legacy media has largely failed on this. I founded Democracy Docket to be a reliable source of this kind of information, but also to be fearlessly independent. We don't bow down to billionaires. We don't kiss the ring of Donald Trump. We don't even want to know Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a menace to democracy. We're not trying to make nice with him. And it is also unapologetically pro-democracy. Like, we don't try to hedge it in like, well, maybe some people say this and some people say that. This is an issue in which there are good guys and there are bad guys. But what's not okay is to let that worry cause you to give in to him.
That is why we have to be concerned, because in this breaking story, first you get control of the media, he has, then you get control of the legislative branch, he has, then you get control of the judicial branch, which he's trying to do, and then what do? You go after voting rights. And in this breaking story, that's exactly what we are trying to stop. Here it is. Take a listen. Major lawsuit filed. Very important. Breaking news. The DNC, DGA, DCC, and DSCC, along with Leader Schumer and Leader Jeffries, have filed a lawsuit against the new Trump executive order requiring voters to prove they're U.S. citizens before registering to vote in federal elections. The Elias Law Group is handling the case. And when you listen to Mark Elias, this is the reason why he is taking it on.
When Pam Bondi becomes the Attorney General, this is not going to be a Department of Justice committed to voting rights. The Department of Justice is going to be committed to anti-voting rights. It is going to be the election denier division of the Department of Justice once they have control of power. Look, Donald Trump ran on a platform of election denialism. He is surrounded by election deniers. And we have already heard some of the most vocal supporters, people who he includes on phone calls with him when he is trying to overturn free and fair elections page. We know that from 2020, asked that all those career people be fired, that they all be replaced. And the reason why is because Donald Trump is going to have his Department of Justice weaponized against voting rights. And I don't want them to have a running start. I don't want them to be in cases where they literally just have to flip sides. They say, oh, we used to say X, now we say Y. I'd rather they not be in the cases at all. They're going to file the lawsuit saying, no, the Voting Rights Act doesn't protect black voters, it protects white voters. They're going to do everything they can to use the law to gain every political and personal advantage they possibly can. And they will do it because Donald Trump wants them to do it. They know he wants them to do it. And if they don't know, he'll tell them. He'll meddle in the Department of Justice like no prior president in recent history has. And we just need to be very realistic about this. One of the reasons I say that on issues of voting and democracy in court, I do not seek compromise with Republicans is because there is no middle ground between a firefighter and an arsonist. I gave this advice, or I staked out this ground, not just because I think that, Donald Trump's position here is dangerous and it's odious that he's going to turn the Department of Justice into a voter suppression operation. I think that's terrible. Don't get me wrong. But it's also predictable that when you go from one administration to another, you're always going to have some change in policy. Now, I think it's going to be very extreme in this instance, which is why I suggested what I did as aggressively as I have. But you would expect that when Joe Biden appoints Merrick Garland, the Department of Justice flips to become much more pro-voter. You gave us some instances of where Donald Trump has a track record of doing this in the other direction. And this is just not a risk worth taking. This is not a risk worth taking. As someone whose law firm is in the courts right now, as we speak, in many of these cases, I'm telling you, it is just having, a bunch of DOJ lawyers, leave and another group come in on the other side, to me is not worth the risk. But that's a decision that obviously Merrick Garland and the lawyers there are going to have to make. And I spend my days trying to protect democracy from people like Donald Trump, and they spend their time trying to light fires to make it harder for people to vote. You should know that I am saying this from a position of caring about voting rights.
Yeah, what he said, you, we, me, all of us cannot stand down, cannot stand in fear of Donald Trump and his minions. If we do, as you've just seen, China partner with South Korea and Japan against us in tariffs. China, sure, but South Korea and Japan, they're our allies. Canada and Mexico, allies. This is what Trump is doing. He's aligning himself with one of the two most dangerous people on the planet, Vladimir Putin. And for some odd reason, he seems to think, because he wants to be a dictator so bad, he wants to be king all the time. Third term, right? Voting rights. That's how you do it. And they are in the process of trying to dismantle this constitution and country's form of democracy. Please stay frosty. Do not go away from this subject. Stay focused on it. Talk to your friends about it. Stay frosty, because this is what's going on. And this lawsuit and Mark Elias fighting against it is absolutely crucial in this moment in history. See you guys soon.